Greetings everyone, this is Non-Expert here back again with another video. Today we are going to be solving problem number 73 and difficulty has been rated at is easy. This problem was asked by Google and it's a very famous problem. I think most of you would have already heard of it or would have gone through it once. And the name of the problem is given the head of a single linked list, you need to reverse it in place. Pretty straightforward. You've been given a linked list and you just need to reverse it. If you don't know what a linked list is, I would sort of urge you to go back to my previous videos where I explain the linked list data structure. Um, but yeah, let's just move forward with this. So fortunately, we are able to find a similar problem on LeetCode, and the name of the problem is also reverse a linked list. You've been given a linked list over here, and for those people who don't really understand what a linked list is, just think of it not as your typical Python list, but rather you having an object which sort of points to the next object and it keeps on pointing forward till it hits a null. Um, Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can sort of go back to my previous videos and check it out. But the entire essence of this problem is that you need to update this thing to be reversed. So we are looking for the output to be something like this. Unfortunately, you can't just do a simple reverse like we have inside list and just pass the list in and it would work. I don't think that should work. I don't know how Python would work on that, but that's not what the interviewer is sort of looking for you from you. He is trying to understand how can you actually understand and work with references, work with conditions, and sort of go on from there. So before we start with this entire approach, I would just sort of like to give a brief explanation of how this thing is going to work. So we're going to start with three basic variables. We're going to have a current variable, a previous variable, and a next variable. So we're going to start with one, and let's start with null on everything else. So our current is going to be where our head is pointing, and our head is going to be pointing on this thing, assuming that's going to be pointing at this thing. Um, and what's going to happen is that when you sort of do the iterations, you need to make sure that this pointer now references to something else which is previous to this thing. That's what previous is going to contain. And when it does that operation, you really lose the essence of what the next value is. So how do you hop onto that thing? You just save it inside a variable. It's simple enough. So while we do the iteration, let's do this really quickly. So we will have a loop which will loop on till we hit this null. Pretty straightforward. And in the first thing, what we're going to do is we're going to update next. So next is going to be 2 instead of now. This is just so that we have a reference of where we need to go next. Now, the second thing which we need to do is actually really important. It just sort of revolves around you understanding how would you update the pointer reference, right? So the reference is just going to be instead of the next value that we're presently on, we're going to be pointing towards the previous value. So in this case, this reference is sort of going to go away, and we're going to have a new reference which is going to point to this thing. So basically what I'm trying to say is that current.next needs to now point to previous. Straightforward. The reason for that is because this thing needs to point to null and then move forward from there. I hope you guys are following with me on this thing. If you're not, it's okay. We'll sort of go through the code again and then we can sort of explain it in more details. But that's basically the essence of how you would, update your update your current.next to point to the previous value that you previously had. Simple enough. Now, before you sort of change your current variable to go to the next list node, what you would do is you would sort of update your previous as well. So previous is going to now become 1, which is this guy, and current is now going to be updated to whatever is your next, which is going to be 2. So now we are at this particular element. Next is now going to be updated to 3. Sorry, it's going to be updated to 3. And now we sort of do the same operations, which is that whatever's at current.next is going to be pointed towards previous. So this entire link sort of goes away and you have a new link which is at the previous value. Because do remember previous is 1, so you're basically pointing at that thing. And this iteration keeps on going on and you keep on going on with this till you finish it. Pretty basic, so let's just start with the solution. So again, we always start with the base condition. So the base condition is going to be, hey, if nothing's been given to us, just return nothing. Now we just initialize a few variables. We'll just make previous, whoops, I don't know why I'm doing none, nulls. Sorry about that. And now all we need to do is we need to do a while loop keep on iterating till current hits the null value, which is this guy. Pretty straightforward. Let's do that. Let's do while current is something, it's not none. We keep on updating values. I'm going to call next as nxt instead of next because why not? So we save that reference first. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure that current.next, which is the reference, points to previous. Like over here, this should point to the previous guy, and that's what I explained before as well. Now we update your previous to point to your current, and basically update your current to be equal to nxt. Pretty straightforward. This will keep on running till you hit the null value, which is the last element inside your list node, or your linked list. And that's basically it. So one thing which I've actually seen people mess up is something that you're also going to mess up, which is you will sort of think about returning current, but that's not the thing. Returning current is going to be returning a none because that's where a while loop sort of terminated. What you need to do is you need to return previous instead, because previous is going to have the first element to wherever you're at. So this thing, when you iterate through everything, previous is going to be here and current is going to be here. That's when the while loop terminates. And you need to return this particular element because that's the entire operation that you want to go through. Now it's not going to point towards anything, so keeping it in that doesn't really make any sense. And that's actually where most people lose all their points because they don't really understand that where exactly do I need to like return the variable. So let's go ahead and run this code. Hopefully this should run fine. Hopefully I didn't make any mistakes. Cool, so you can see it's running fine. Do note over here that even though you might think that this input is coming as a list and the output is also like a list, it's not a list. We are getting something else altogether, right? Um, let's go ahead and submit this solution. Hopefully this should get submitted. And awesome, you can see that this is faster than 95% of the Python online submissions and 50% better than most other solutions memory wise. It's pretty simplistic. There's not much complexity over here. And there is a few takeaways from this entire video, which are that you just need to handle how would you reference different elements as sort of moving forward. And that's basically it. There is also a recursive solution to this thing, which we'll be picking up in the next video. So be on the lookout for that. I've seen interviewers actually throw, a case where they will say that, hey, you need to solve this using recursion. So that's also a little important. But for now, this thing works at a very basic level. And if there are no conditions which have been put in by the interviewer, the solution should work fine. Awesome, so that's it for today's video. It's pretty simplistic today, but I just want to let you know that if you have any comments, if you have any suggestions, or if you have anything to talk about, do leave it in the comment section below. If you did like this video, do give a like and do subscribe to our channel. We are a discussion over here, and we would love to have you on board with us. And if you've already subscribed, you're awesome, we all know it, and have an awesome day. Thank you.